holiday
Velvet.
attire.
Hey, man, this is...
I know, it's very nice.
What is this, velvet?
It is. It's the Velveteen Rabbit. We're just not going to the same place.
No, we're not.
Well, yeah, I mean, literally, we're
Actually,
not. But like,
well, at first we are, but then we're not.
Yeah, I mean, we're here today for you, our audience.
Right.
Yes, and since it's the holiday season, we have done this for the past couple of years where we like to be on holiday too. So, so just like you are enjoying it, we do too. But it's our time to bring back some of our favorites. So throughout the year, we have talked to some really great nonprofits, some great leaders. And during the holiday season is usually when we do our recap and kind of our best of favorite shows. So that's what we're going to be doing for the next couple of weeks, bringing you some of our favorite interviews and nonprofits.
Yeah, so today we are going to revisit our friend Phil with Next Gen Men and Women.
Woo, Olalie.
There you go. I was waiting for you to fill in the blanks.
Fill in the blanks. Ba-dum.
It's the holidays.
I know.
So we're gonna.
There's nothing in these cups, by the way.
There is not here, guys. So
Like
anybody
literally
looking,
nothing.
there's nothing in the cup. So though we should really rethink that because it's the holidays.
I know.
Is this the only time of year that it's like acceptable to be day drunk?
I'm not sure that that's a thing at all. This show is sponsored by your employer,
That's
Goodwill in
true.
North Georgia.
Not when you're working. I'm just saying in
Oh,
general,
okay.
like when you're celebrating.
Oh.
I feel like any other time of year, like being festive is frowned upon because
I guess
like
it
you're
depends on
focused.
what country you're in, too.
I guess so. But like this time of year, it kind of feels like, folks are like, let's be festive.
Yeah.
Anyway,
A lot of holiday parties going on.
that's true.
Yes. But Next Gen Men and Women.
Yeah, so we're going to revisit with them, hear what they're talking about, how they are impacting youth here in our community.
Yeah.
And then you may hear us talk about maybe an event or something that they're doing. Just remember, like we're telling you, we're bringing you back. We're bringing back some episodes from a while ago.
Yeah.
But I will say all these organizations, even if the events or stuff that we're speaking about were time sensitive at the time, that they're all always willing to take your support throughout the year.
That's right. And it's probably an annual event.
Yeah.
So a lot of times you might have missed it, or maybe when the show airs this time that you're like, oh, that would have been cool. Well, I'm sure it's going to happen again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is great. And then we're also going to revisit Children Helping Children. It's another organization.
Oh, yes. That was a great one.
Yeah. Kind of out of a less than festive situation, but really brought a great opportunity for kids in our community to help each other.
Yes.
So-
So starting young with that philanthropic spirit and heart. So definitely going to enjoy this show. Putting those two nonprofits together, I think, is great because, Phil with Next Gen Men and Women is they're raising the next generation of leaders. And
Of men and women.
yeah, but they're leaders because
Yes,
they
I
go
know.
on, they engage with professionals and they do a lot of leadership, programming, and then
that's a good plug for that, though. So
Yes.
going into the new year, so one of the things that we'll talk about with Phil is their exposure opportunities, where
Yes.
they bring the kids
Mhm.
into different organizations and kind of let them see what people are doing at work and kind of expose them to some opportunities. So if you think that's something that you may want to put on your calendar for your business for next year, think about that as well.
yeah, and they do that all year long too.
Right.
So that's an opportunity for that. But then I was going to make the connection to the Children Helping Children. So next generation of philanthropists who, in general, are also leaders. So
Right.
they kind of go together, hand in hand.
Hand in hand.
That's right. So there's hand motions going back behind the scenes. The hand in hand thing was a very visual thing that happened. Anyway, so we do hope that you enjoy the holiday season and us bringing you back some of our favorites. We have a lot of favorites, though. I was thinking the other day, so if you follow us on social media, you probably saw us give out a favorites list for Giving Tuesday. And we gave a big shout out to some of our favorite guests who have been on the show. But then we also posted a long scrolling video of all of the guests that we had on there. And I wanted to just say, if we didn't shout you out, that does not mean you're not our favorite. that was some of our favorites, because I went back and I looked at that list. I was like, oh, there were some really good
That was
interviews there. That's
those
the
were
tough things, though.
I know.
Like, you
Those were
can't call out anybody because then you forget somebody. But
Right.
what do you do when you want to?
Those are the favorites that we remembered at that moment.
Yes,
So to be
Yeah.
fair,
we have
And
lots of favorites.
sometimes our brains aren't good.
That's true. So, so not to have I don't think we offended anybody. I just wanted to put it out there that there's so
Yeah.
many. And by the way, if you are still looking for an organization to support before the end of the year because you want to, maybe you have some tax incentive, maybe you looked at your budget and you're like, wow, it's the giving season. I've got some extra dollars, time, things that you want to donate to a nonprofit. Definitely take a look at our social media. It's Good Work Show on Instagram, at Good Work Show on Instagram. Go back to that post. Literally, it is a list that scrolls for at least like a minute or two.
It goes on for a while.
Yes.
There's a lot.
Lots of organizations, and you can plug in different ways. I mean, we've got organizations that we've talked to that deal with pets and dogs and youth and returning citizens and homelessness and food insecurity and urban farming and environmentalism. I mean, anything you could think of, legal, you could plug in any of it, and we've
really
touched
true.
pretty much on
Like,
every topic.
I don't think it is possible at this point for somebody to say like, oh, there isn't an issue
That we have
that I can't, that I'm interested
Human
in,
trafficking,
that
literacy.
I can't find anything to do. Like,
Yeah.
I kind of want to do like a challenge. Like,
Oh, is
you
there
know,
one we haven't done?
like, pick an
we've done music. We've done
music. We've done theater.
We've done
We've done a couple of theaters.
older Americans,
Babies.
babies.
We've done clowns. I mean, here's the thing.
That is true.
Here's
We
what.
had Han.
Here's what. There are people like me that find clowns terrifying.
Yes.
There are people that love clowns. Like, we have a coworker loves clowns.
Who is that?
I'll tell you later.
Oh, okay.
I think she actually is a clown in her spare time.
I
Yeah.
know who you're talking about.
So yeah, so
I
if we
remember
have
that now.
that spectrum, and I feel like clowns are like one of those things that are polarizing.
Yeah.
Either you hate them and you find them terrifying.
Now a picture of it is on the screen.
There's a picture of a clown on the screen to
Is
my
that,
left.
that's not it, is it?
No, that's not
But it looks
Pennywise.
kind of like it.
Because they're all
Oh, that's the old it.
kind of anyway.
Yeah.
But if we can find an organization for people who want to do good while being a clown, I think
We could find anything.
we can find anything.
We've had technology. I mean, there's
You know, we don't have knitters, people who knit.
No, but I'm sure some of the.
Well,
I'm
there's-
sure at AG Rose they have some people who knit, so
Well,
we
yeah,
can make the
We
inference.
can make it
that-
fit. No, but there's like the organizations that like knit the hats for the babies and stuff. We should try to find that. We should
Oh.
find that organization, like knitters and sewers,
Okay, then
people who
we
knit
can-
and sew. I feel like that's an opportunity.
That's one. We probably hadn't got that one. we've covered the gamut, but
What else can
just
we?
knitting.
Because we can challenge ourselves for the new year. Like what else?
I mean, we've had. Remember the one organization that was helping with the insects and the bed bugs, where people who
Yes.
did not have, they were going into situations where they were renting and had bad,
Beds.
bad beds, and I mean, we've covered lots of different things.
Really specific things too.
Yeah,
Like we do the broad stuff, like human trafficking,
yeah,
big, and then there's a lot of stuff. But then there's like, we're gonna fix this issue.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna make sure that people don't have beds with bed bugs in them,
yeah. I mean,
which is
that's
necessary.
absolutely, especially for people who might get taken advantage of or have a bad landlord or
Yeah.
slumlord, if you will. But yeah, we've had all kinds of organizations. So anyway, check the list. We hope that you are enjoying the holiday season thus far. And again, if you so choose, if you have opportunities to donate to a nonprofit, make sure you do. If you want to go goodwilling before the end of the year, we encourage you to
This
do
cup,
so.
not that cup.
You could do that by donating good stuff, purchasing good stuff at some of our stores, because you will be helping good people go to work. And we would love your support if you wanted to support Goodwill. But we've got lots of opportunities for you to support other nonprofits. And I feel like there's so many nonprofits. We've had 300-400 on the show, but there are thousands in just Metro Atlanta. So we have only scratch the surface, even though we feel like we've covered a lot of them, only scratch the surface. So there's opportunity for everybody to connect, like you said, with a nonprofit. There's no excuse. Whatever you like, whatever your interest is, there's a nonprofit, there's an organization that is serving somebody in that space, and you could figure it out.
Yeah. So, this is the time we always talk about. This is the season of giving.
Yeah.
So, give.
That's right. Okay. I was like, well, this is going somewhere good. Give. That's right. Yeah. So, anyway, for the next couple of weeks, like I said, we're going to be bringing you some of our best of shows. So today's show, as a recap, Next Gen Men and Women and Children Helping Children. They're going to be on today. We'd love for you to stick around. If you haven't heard those shows before, you're in for a treat, because we had fun with both of those individuals.
Yes.
And learning a lot about their organizations. And there are opportunities on both of those for you to plug in, even if you aren't a parent or a youth and you want to get involved in any one of those organizations. They both have opportunities for you to do that. So I think that's good. Talking about giving, it could be volunteering your time.
Yeah. So Elaine talked about Goodwilling. We do just want to remind people that this time of year, we know that we're in high time for donations to
That's
Goodwill.
Right. So don't delay.
Don't delay. And then also we make it easy for you this time of year. So your usual donation spot is probably still in the same place, but there may be a trailer there or something like that. So we're making it easy. Go out and donate to Goodwill. We use those donations to fund our training programs throughout the year. So yeah, there's a lot of opportunities right now for folks to just dive into the philanthropic space and make a contribution. So we hope you do so.
All right. We'll be back after the break. You're listening to The Good Work Show.
To learn more about the show and how your company can tell their story, like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter @Good Work Show.
Audience, welcome back to The Good Work Show. We're excited because we're sitting here with our buddy. This is our friend, Phil Olalier. And
Hey.
Yes, so he is.
I'm really impressed that you can pronounce his last name like that.
Now,
like it rolls right off.
After the first time.
That rolled off the tongue well.
Yes,
it really does. Because there's some other
I'll
words.
approve it.
Like say horticulture.
No, you say horticulture. Got it. Anyway. Okay, he is the executive director of Next Generation Men and Women, an organization that is fantastic. You've been on the show a couple times, Phil, so we know the organization really well. We've had a chance to do a little bit of volunteering with the organization. Mm-hmm. Love it. But for those people who don't know about Next Gen Men and Women, give us a rundown of what it is and, of course, the mission.
Sure. Well, first off, thank you for having me. It's good to see you again. Yeah. And Next Gen is we're an education nonprofit that operates in the college and career preparedness space, specifically addressing opportunity gaps facing our under-resourced high school students, so young men and women who attend Title I high schools in Atlanta public schools and Fulton County schools. But really working to create a path to graduation and success after high school through exposure. And you all were gracious enough to host a group of young men and women here at your office, and through support, personalized support after school with teachers and college mentors. Our big motto is if every youth can see it and experience it, they can become it.
Cool.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about how the organization started. So the organization was started by teachers.
Mm-hmm. It was.
So tell us a little bit of how it got started. And I think that's important because it's folks that were in the trenches already. They were with Teach America, right?
3 Teach for America
Teach
educators.
For America. I'm like, there's a word missing. Mm-hmm. I missed one. Yeah. Teach for America. So they are really kind of in there and saw the need and said, hey, we need to do something else.
Yeah, so the origins of Next Gen can be traced directly into the classroom. So on the front lines, and 3 educators who just saw a need at that time, specifically focusing on boys and young men of color, looking at lagging data just regarding graduation rates and post-secondary attainment rates, wanting to create positive exposure opportunities for young men at the time to step into different work environments and engage and interact with a variety of professionals, just to have a better sense of what's out there and to be excited about their futures and to root it in what's possible beyond the 4 walls of high school. But more importantly, coupling that with personalized support. So each cohort is assigned a teacher on site and a college mentor who is attending one of our local colleges. And they're meeting with our students twice a week and just walking them through a curricula rooted in a lot of personal identity, team cohesion building, post-secondary pathway exploration. So we're big proponents of options and not just, bracketing our students between one specific path. So we're agnostic. We say if the 4-year track is aligned with your goals and your interests, then go down that route. But 2-year vocational and technical tracks are viable, as are military service and gainful employment right out of the gate. So it's really arming and equipping our young men and now women. We folded in women 2 years into our operation, just providing them with a sense of what's out there and giving them the opportunity to pick and choose what's the best path for them.
Yeah, that's great. And it's been great to see the evolution of Next Gen, because the organization was just getting ready to add the women to it when the first time.
Because I want to say that we talked to Ian before, because I don't even know if you were there when we first had Next Gen on.
Yeah.
So when they won, what was it, Philanthropist?
The Spark Prize.
Yeah, the Spark Prize.
Yeah.
So it's been it's been 3 years or so that we've seen some evolution of the organization, and it's been really great to see how it's grown and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of growth.
I know.
Yeah.
We are
You're
about
busy.
to kick, very busy. Our entire team is busy, but we're excited. This is year number 5 for the organization. When I started late 2017 fall, we had 5 cohorts of students and roughly 50, 60 students. And so now we're stepping into a program year where we have 16 cohorts of young men and women, 250 students. And so 16 teachers, 16 college mentors, loving on, counseling, guiding, encouraging, and supporting our young men and women. So
now
we're
we know
excited.
why you canceled on us a couple times before.
It's
You're
been
just
busy.
too busy for the good work.
been busy.
I know. But you were still working with APS in Fulton County Schools, and I think you and I ran into each other one day, and I was like, "Oh, when can we get you to come to DeKalb?" And I'm sure Next Gen gets that, though, as much success as you had, and working with you've gotten the Spark Prize. People know now. Next Gen.
Yeah.
What's coming for the future? And I know we're early on in the conversation. We got a lot of interview to do for you, but I think this is great. We're talking about the growth of the organization. I know as an executive director, you've got to have, strategy. Where are we going? What are we going to do next? What's Next Gen's plans?
Yeah, I think for us, growth involves responsibility, just added responsibility. And so we're focused on 4 primary buckets as we continue to grow and grow. I was going to say smartly. I don't know if that's a word, but just efficient
we use
and
a lot of non-words on this show.
efficient
really bad that we're
and
talking to
intentional
education.
growth.
I know. Anything's a word.
So we're focused on a lot of financial sustainability, right? So when we started, we were a young kind of pup organization, and now that we're growing and scaling, ensuring that we're not overly reliant on one specific fundraising stream or donor, but that we have a mixed bag of financial support and resources to fuel the work that we're doing. Another big bucket for us is just our programming. So we're continuing to tighten the screws and just make sure that at every stage from 9th grade to 12th grade, we're creating a process and a journey for our young men and women that is grade level and gender specific. And so making it culturally relevant. The majority of our students are Black and brown young men and women who live in communities really that aren't affording them with too many opportunities to step outside of their surrounding areas and just see what's possible in our own backyard here in Metro Atlanta. And so we're working to just make life easier for our partners, you all, to host our students and ensure that those experiences are worthwhile and meaningful for all parties. Strategic partnerships, stakeholder engagement.
We know how to do that.
Yeah. And we're building out. I think again, it's, we never had a strategic plan.
Because Elaine just threatened me, apparently.
Elaine, we would love to add you to the squad.
No, she threatened to fire me. So,
that was just a joke.
But, I may need somewhere to go, so just let me know.
No, there's been a lot of internal systems and just people-focused work, just having the right women and men around the table to do this work and be purposeful with how we move forward and grow, as well as just growing out our governance structures. So having the right women and men on our board and our advisory council to just provide strategic counsel, support, expertise, so we continue to grow smartly.
Yeah, no, that's great.
I'm owning that word.
Yes, own it. So talk to us a little bit about how we have a couple minutes left and we'll get deeper, but explain the structure of the program, because I think that's one of the things that's always been so interesting about you. Talked about you threw out the word cohort a couple of times. So let's explain what that means and how it differs from kind of the traditional, which is still great, kind of like boys and girls, not boys and girls, Big Brother, Big Sisters, whereas one-on-one. So what is the difference between that program and then how y'all structure everything with your cohorts?
Yeah, so we are really looking to build systems of support for our students. So unlike your traditional 1v1 mentor-mentee pair, you only have one shot to get it right. And sometimes it works. And, that mentor has everything from personal to professional, as well as availability to pour into that young man or young woman. But for us, we look at it as an opportunity for us to build these student cohorts starting their 9th grade year. The teacher is effectively a mentor, so someone on site who's accessible, who understands the amenities, the resources on site, and then pairing that teacher with the college student who's only a few years removed from being a high school student themselves. And so that's a very different value proposition that they're providing our students with, but both are valuable, right? The expertise and the seasoning of an educator, as well as someone who's a bit younger, but just went through the process of trying to figure out what that next step beyond high school is going to be, as well as the peers, right? So these cohorts are formed, 15 to 20 young men or young women make up or comprise a student cohort, and they remain together until they graduate. So 4 years, meeting twice a week after school, and going on exposure trips every 4 to 6 weeks to different local companies and colleges to engage with a variety of career options as well as professionals. And so it's a fraternity, it's a sorority, and they love on and support one another, not only to the finish line, which is graduation, but beyond, which is post-secondary, college, or career.
Yeah. And you guys have you had a cohort yet go from freshman all the way through?
Yeah.
We have. So this past spring was our second cycle of having a graduating cohort that completed the full program.
Nice.
So we had 2 back in spring 18, and this past spring we had 1. So now we have alums, and we're having to think about the back end of our process. How do we continue to be a resource? Because the work is not done. Hopefully we'll be able to talk a little bit about just the everyday realities that many of our young men and women are experiencing in their neighborhoods and within their schools, which make a compelling case for why Next Gen is needed.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Phil, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back and we should talk about next gen games, because that's always pretty fun. And then, we want you to share some success stories too. I think, one super impactful. I will never forget the group of girls that we hosted at Goodwill.
Yeah.
They were awesome, but it was also a really interesting day for lots of different reasons, but encouraging those folks who are listening to take advantage of that opportunity that we did. So anyway, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back and talk a little bit more. So stick with us, audience. You are listening to The Good Work Show.
To learn more about the show and how your company can tell their story, like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter @GoodWorkShow.
Audience, welcome back to the Good Work Show. We have been chatting with Phil Lallier, who is the Executive Director of Next Generation Men and Women. an organization that is doing some fantastic work. We've had on the show 3 times now. I think you might be the most regular guest besides Goodwill.
I think you truly. I think you really. It's like every year we're just
Every
you know what,
year.
we need a really great show.
Yes.
We need to talk to a really great organization. Let's call Phil.
Yeah, but doing lots of great work with our youth in Fulton County and APS, and really connecting those who are really probably most at risk in some cases at Title I schools, giving them exposure to see professionals in so many different avenues, and then helping them as a group navigate through high school and even on to post-secondary, whatever that means for them, which I think is very important when you mention that, because it's also a principle that we believe in at Goodwill, because it doesn't matter what door you go in as long as you're successful. And sometimes that might mean technical college. Sometimes that might mean going to work. Sometimes that
Those
does
are great
mean
jobs, great careers.
Exactly.
Yes.
2-year, 4-year college, but there are options, and no one path is best for everyone. There's something, individual for everyone. So anyway, but before we took a break, we were chatting about a little bit the opportunity we had at Goodwill and the marketing team to host a group of young women to come, and they were great. And by the way, let's just talk about how winners connect with other winners. They were also the winner of the Next Gen Games.
They were.
Right?
This
And
is
they were
true.
bragging on
They
that.
were very excited
They were
about
very
that.
excited
You got 'em
about
ready.
that, and they were
Yeah.
going into their second games, and clearly, I don't know if they won, but they were clearly gunning for that number 1 spot. But talk to us about Next Gen Games. What is it, and how can folks like us and other professionals get involved and join in?
Yeah, I'll start with the exposure experiences first, and just describing those, and then tie those trips to the games. But exposure experiences are monthly trips that each student cohort takes to a local company or college. And it's an opportunity for them. The trips to work sites typically happen after work hours, so think 5 to 7. And it's an opportunity for them to visit a physical work environment, to tour the facility, to break up into small groups and just sit down with professionals and hear their stories, both personal and professional, as well as engage in occupational activities. And those are really fun, because pairing professionals with students to engage in fun work that steeps our students in the work and the job functions and responsibilities, and kind of thinking and working that professionals actually do. And so we use the trips as a way to really get our students excited about their futures. I think we focus so much on the adults, I should say, focus so much on, you got to graduate high school and you got to go to college. What about the students? What about their buy-in? What about their say in their own future? And so I think being able to crisscross and zigzag and explore small, medium, large size companies, blue collar, skilled trades, financial services, logistics, hospitality, media here, you all hosting a group of our young women.
Sounds like a pitch.
It makes all the difference. And again, tying that to the games is an opportunity for all of the learning and skills development that's happening after school within our student cohorts, with the help and leadership of our teachers and college mentors. We want to make it real. And so the games is just a fun Saturday where students are able to compete in individual and team events. So think of the field days that I'm sure you all
Just the
participated in, and
Elena
just the
and I have
energy
talked about
and
how that is like
excitement.
the best day of the school
It
year.
is,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Besides the last day.
Oh yeah. Which for me, field day usually was near the last day of school. But anyway.
True.
But it's just an opportunity to, and our students know that everything that they're doing after school, delving into personal identity, delving into what are the benefits to a technical vocational track versus, let's say, military service, as well as not only going on these trips, but knowing that you're going to have an opportunity to interview for summer internships, really makes it real and dynamic. And so we tap into our professional network, and 70 odd professionals show up and volunteer to judge events such as personal identity, slam poetry, spoken word, events. We have a kind of an art gallery where students are able to use really kind of art as a form of expression to really detail who they are as men and women, and just all facets of their community, family, interests, etc. 10th grade, our 10th graders are focused on designing small enterprises that are tied to addressing challenges in their community. We have 1v1 debates, so kind of your standard Lincoln Douglas debate where one student has to take on the affirmative. Yes, all students who graduate high school should go to a 4 2-year college. And then one student will take on no. Mm-hmm. All students should go, to the military or work right out of school. So just providing ways and opportunities to have fun, to compete for some friendly competition, but it's all rooted in getting them prepared and kind of steeped in skills, both soft and hard, that are necessary to be prepared, not only to graduate, but to be successful after high school. Something that we experimented this past year with the games that we're hoping to build out this upcoming year is having points of contact from our various community partners who host trips to actually step up to the plate and carve out small group short-term summer internships for our students. Nice. And so we're designing a program for our current juniors who will be rising seniors to not only take these trips, but keep in mind those workplaces, companies, or fields of interest, so that come the Next Gen Games, we'll have, let's say, 8 to 10 different kind of companies that operate in different spaces who are saying, look, you all are going to have a chance to interview for internships. So conducting research, creating LinkedIn profiles, getting resumes and cover letters together, all of the things that we know they're going to need, not only to graduate, but to be prepared post-secondary, making it fun, making it light, making it experiential.
That's great. And I got to judge.
Yeah, you did.
I judged the art competition, and it's incredible. Like the stuff that the students came up with, the way, the mixed media that they used, and just their explanations of what they created was just remarkable. So I would encourage anybody who has the opportunity to participate, because it was great.
And it'll be next year at the end of March. So we typically have 2 signature events throughout the academic year. The fall event is our networking night, which is not unlike any other networking night that you all have been a part of, outside of the fact that it involves students. So again, making it real, making it hands-on, interactive, and giving our students a chance to network in a professional setting with professionals.
Right. Yeah, cool. So how do folks get involved? Because you mentioned, that they can do the trips, they can be a judge in the games, they can do the professional networking. Soon they'll be able to do the internship piece. What do they need to do, and who's a great person to be able to involve? I mean, we keep mentioning our involvement in there, but because we asked and because we said, oh, we'll do it. But just for folks who are out there thinking, boy, I work in a really niche environment, or they probably wouldn't think my job is interesting. Yeah. Well, you never know. So tell us about what professionals should be involved in this work with you.
I think for us, the easiest way to support, obviously we're a not-for-profit organization, so financial resources always help. We have our biggest capital raising campaign, which usually starts off with the beginning of the school year in our program cycle. It's called Sponsor a Student. It's roughly $1,300 to cover all program expenses for a student throughout the year. And our goal every single year is to raise enough money to cover a third of all students. And so this year we'll be supporting 250 students. So it's roughly 85 students. We're looking to raise $111,000. Last year our goal was $91,000 and we hit it. And it's ambitious, but we can do it. And so our website is nextgenatl.org. Click the donate button, donate any amount, recurring amount if you can't give a big amount, but can give a little bit every month. That always goes a long way. And then for folks who are interested in hosting trips, I mean, you don't know what you don't know. And so our students, you'd be surprised. Oh, my cube is boring or my office space is boring. For our students, it's not. I mean, they have no other reference point. Right. And so we try our best to really cultivate and build relationships within our 7 primary clusters. So we have media, entertainment, financial services, health sciences, transportation, logistics. I'm blanking on a few, but really it just hospitality, tourism. I mean, it really runs the full gamut, construction being one. So if you're out there and you yourself were the beneficiary of a mentor who helped you not only find your way to your current seat, but sustain it, you'll love the work that we're doing. We're talking a lot about the student benefits, but the benefits for the professionals and just community residents who host and support our young men and women are just through the roof. It's not often that you get a chance to engage and interact with community members from South Atlanta and in parts of towns that our students are coming from. And so there's such a beautiful exchange of perspective. The professionals learn more about the gifts and backgrounds of our students, where they're from, the neighborhoods that they live in, and really leave with just a greater sense and knowledge of who we are as a city. And so not only do we look at it as driving student impact and creating paths to graduation and post-secondary success, but we're literally building community, right? And creating a village here in Atlanta that can support every youth in their goal to find happiness and some level of economic prosperity beyond high school.
Right. Well, Phil, we are out of time, but you have an open invitation back to the show. We will have you on next year. Yeah.
Next month. Whatever.
But anyway, thank you so much to you and the Next Gen team for the work you're doing, and thanks for coming on the show.
Appreciate y'all.
You're listening to The Good Work Show.
To learn more about the show and how your company can tell their story, like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter @GoodWorkShow.
Audience, welcome back to The Good Work Show. We are excited because we are talking to Michelle Hodson, and she is the founder and executive director of Children Helping Children. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, love the name of your organization. Tell us all about it and the mission.
So we basically educate and empower youth philanthropists. We give them a platform to shine their light and give back to nonprofits here in Atlanta. That's the mission.
Great. So, we love when I always say this. I feel like this is always my setup question. So I love when we have a founder on the show that can tell us a little bit about why you started the organization. So give us a little bit of that story.
So over a decade ago, I had a little boy, and his name was Cole Clayton Hodson, monogram CHC. He actually passed away as a baby, and on what would have been his first birthday, we had a birthday party for him. And it started at my house, and it grew from there. So it was friends and family, and now it's the whole city of Atlanta. Yeah.
Cool. Wow. So tell us what's so important, because you're getting children into philanthropy, and kids like to give stuff away. I mean, just in general, you have little kids and they gave away their jacket to their best friend. I mean, so they're in general, kids are pretty giving. But how do you get them into philanthropy? Because that sounds big for little ones, but it's part of kind of what they're baked in, kind of doing anyway, right?
It's so true, and I think that we just have to protect it. So they come out kind of knowing how to love, how to give. And it's really like anything else, like soccer or math. It needs to be a practice, and it needs to be ongoing, because you'll lose it if you get older. And so it's important for us, depending on their age, to fit them in a situation that's age appropriate. So when they're little, like at our festival, they come and assemble things. And then as they get older, they become sort of the educators and the ones that are asking questions about the nonprofits that are around. So we try to build a curriculum that's developmentally appropriate for where they are, but so that they can dip into service and then hopefully become adults that always give back.
Yeah. So if you start early, it's kind of like one of those things. You start early, then you continue on, giving. And if you've supported a cause, an organization as a child, you probably remember it. I mean, we hear that all the time for people who donate to Goodwill. They say, "Oh, I remember when my parents gave, and so now I donate."
Exactly. And also for us, the secret sauce is to have the teenagers be the teachers because all our little ones think they're so cool.
Yeah.
And so really anything that they do, they want to do. And so, we've been trying to coin the kindness is the new cool for over a decade and it's really sticking. It's cool to be kind.
Nice.
Cool. So talk to us about this curriculum because I think it's interesting that you're looking at it as something that you have to learn and practice and know how to do. So talk to us a little bit about how that works and what the kids are getting as a part of that.
So my degree is in education and psychology, and I was lucky enough to have that background when I wrote it. I try to make it really sensorial and go across all subject areas. And it's really hard, especially when we do work in schools, to fit it in the day because it's so jam-packed. So depending on the school and what we need, we integrate kindness in any subject area. And the more hands-on, the more concrete, the more the kids remember it. So we do a lot of assembling and drawing and art. And really it's based on just values and principles and going into the socio-emotional kind of feelings and, walking in other people's shoes. And we pair it a lot. There's a lot of great children's books and literature out there that we pair for our compassion curriculum.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool. So tell us about, because you work with a lot of kids, and what's the impact on the children? Maybe share a success story or two about a little one or even a teen who is kind of teaching the curriculum. What are they getting out of it? What are they saying back to you? And what are their parents saying, after they come home? I'm sure there's, there's some impact there. Maybe they're sharing with their parents about what they did for the day.
Yeah. Every year, we are just humbled by what happens with these kids, and we learn so much from them. We've been doing this now for over a decade, so we really get to track. One I can think of off the top of my head is Katie Gerald, who was born and has type 1 diabetes, and she started with us as a 3-year-old at our very first Be Well Bear project at my house when we first started it. And now she's on the junior board of directors. And I remember when she was little, in fact, I posted on social media the other day, this little shy picture of her just kind of hugging her mom. And to see her now just as this educator about diabetes and how little ones that are being diagnosed and understanding insulin shots and what to do with patches and have you, it's a place for her to kind of really heal what she went through and educate little ones that it's okay. And I've been through this before. And so I see her personally go from this little shy kid to out of all the junior boards this year, she's the most enthusiastic and the most vocal. So it really is a platform to heal and a platform to be a leader as well.
Nice.
That's awesome. So talk to us a little bit about how people connect with you. So if a person's out there listening and they're like, oh, this sounds like something that, I've got a toddler. It seems like kids are starting to do things younger and younger. Now it's like you have swim lessons when you're 18 months. So so the next step, philanthropy. So how do they, how do parents connect their kids to what you're doing?
Well, there's kind of a joke about that, especially, like I said, the kids that have been around for a decade. If they were infants and they were at the first one, they're like, I've been a philanthropist since the time I'm a baby. But the truth is we don't really know in the brain when things click and when you learn. So in my opinion, it's important very early on to expose them to the experience. And then at different ages, it will click and be more meaningful depending on their own circumstances, or maybe just the event triggered something really exciting for them. But we have a festival where we engage families, and that's a really good entry point, because it's just fun. There's jump houses and there's cotton candy and a stage and all kinds of that's the give back, have fun part. So there's have fun and give back. And then we have our curriculum that we go through schools, and we have a wellness center at King Powell Arts Center. So I just think, looking at our website and looking around at what we have and what we offer, and we get lots of sort of emails from the website that say, I have a 5-year-old, daughter that wants to have a birthday party, and then we'll customize a birthday party for her. So we try to make it custom and engage the kids where they are.
Tell us a little bit about that, because that sounds really interesting.
In fact, my twins just turned 8, and as their mom, it's a little different than when you're telling somebody else's kids. And I had to do this well, we have so many toys, and what do you think about instead of getting toys for your birthday, if we take donations and you can pick your nonprofits? And they've been doing this since they remember, so they knew exactly they wanted to pick the Mission, Gigi's Playhouse, and Families First. And so basically all the kids donated instead of buying them gifts, and they assembled our Be Well Bears, and we donated to the 3 nonprofits. And then their dad and I gave them a little gift certificate to go to Target and stuff. But they were really pumped up about it, and they knew because of their birthday that all these bears were going to be going to kids. Then they got to deliver it too, and that's the piece that's really important, because even in schools when we have philanthropic projects, sometimes it goes to places and we have no idea where it goes. So for these kids to make that contact and see this really is another kid right down the street from me that doesn't have food, that doesn't have clothes. It's really meaningful. And we just try to bridge the gap. And again, it's not this one group of kids giving to another, because each child gets something out of it. Oftentimes when you have a lot, you don't have perspective and gratitude. So we find that CHC is like an infinity sign, where it's giving, receiving, because everybody gets something out of it.
That's fantastic. So Michelle, tell us about how you, I mean, this is a decade ago when you founded this organization, and now you have, you know, kids across Atlanta, you know, you have young kids and you have teens, and, you know, and this was sort of born out of something that was really kind of heartbreaking for you and your family. But tell us how it makes you feel now to see where it's grown and so many young people who are now turning into philanthropists and giving back, you know, kind of what you had in your heart, but now you're able to share with others.
Thanks for asking that question, because we often say, you know, Cole was just a baby, so we didn't know him as a little boy or a teenager, but he had this presence about him and this light. And we use the word light a lot in our nonprofit, because we hope that his light ignites everyone else's light, like a candle that just continues to pass the flame along. And so we feel like because of his existence and all the people that are behind us, it's just kind of a brighter city because of him. And we also know that the kids that are struggling, that we go to help, have their own light and their own voice. And we try to give them a chance also to be philanthropic, so that they can take whatever situation they went through, like we did, and make their life meaningful. So that light just kind of ripples and ripples and ripples. And it's, I'm humbled by it all the time. I still just kind of scratch my head and go, this isn't just a birthday party with my friends. These are people that don't know me and our family. And it's really cool to be a part of.
Yeah, that's awesome. So how can people support? So I bet the bears and the things that you're giving back, I mean, there's probably lots of things that people might be able to support and help out. Donations, volunteers, tell us all about it.
Yeah. Yes, all of it. We need it all. It's everything we have, all the information is on our website, but certainly we do need funds to keep going. We need to purchase the materials, volunteering, hands-on, all of that kind of stuff. And really, again, regardless of your background, and even if it's not CHC, people should be working in the nonprofit sector. These nonprofits go out of business typically in less than 5 years, because it's like, I say all the time, it's like having a job and then you have to have a second job to pay for your job. So there's all that sort of balancing. And even if you don't have money to support, which you have hands. And so it's really important to engage in nonprofits, and we do need the support in all kinds of ways. So
yeah. Well, you can say that one more time. Support your nonprofits. Yeah, that's what we're here for. Yeah, I mean, it's the kind of the basis of our show. I mean, we give a voice to nonprofits, and you know, and those that might not get the opportunity to share the stories, like you, like you know, and so we're so glad that we stumbled upon you know, children helping children, because otherwise, you know, people may not know. We want them to know the great work you're doing.
Thank you so much. And these kinds of platforms are so phenomenal. I mean, for people to connect what we do and how to do it and where to go and make it super easy is so important. So we do appreciate you guys giving us this platform.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got about a minute left. What's upcoming for the organization? What do you have coming up next?
Well, we've got next year we're going to be applying for, we need applicants for the junior board. So LoveFest 2020 will be in October. So if you have kids between the ages of 12 and 16, shortly on our website, there will be a place to apply for the junior board. And this is a really cool group of kids. We get hundreds of applicants, and it's a diverse group of kids from all over Atlanta. They pick nonprofits that they want to help, and at the festival, we help those nonprofits. So if you got a teenager applying is a good thing.
Okay.
Yeah. And give us your website real quick.
www.chcatlanta.org.
Cool.
All right. Well, Michelle, it's been a pleasure. You know, we thank you for coming on the show, but then also just for creating a nonprofit. Like you said, there's a lot of businesses that go out. I mean, a business. I mean, let's just be honest. Restaurants are here to get and gone tomorrow, especially in Atlanta. But for nonprofits, and for you to stay the course and do something that's so meaningful and that's going to help so many others. So we just appreciate it. And thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. You're listening to The Good Work Show.
To learn more about the show and how your company can tell their story, like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter @GoodWorkShow.